this is a really exciting crowd. So my name's Alex, and I'm going to talk to you guys about a new focus in epistemology. Now, traditionally, or I guess typically, epistemologists like to think about topics and ideas that have to do with knowledge. So it makes sense that one of the central questions in epistemology is, what is knowledge? Now, up until around 50 years ago, the answer to this question seemed pretty straightforward. Knowledge is justified true belief. And in the vast majority of cases, this works just fine. I mean, say you want to know what time it is. So you go look at a clock. It's a good thing to do. The hands of the clock point to 10:30, so you form the belief. It's 10:30. And that belief is true. It is 10:30. And what's more, you're justified in believing it. I mean, you just looked at a clock, so you have very good reasons for believing that it's 10:30. But let's add a little twist, because philosophers love doing that. So let's suppose that this clock stopped exactly 24 hours ago. So now, the hands of the clock are situated in just the right way so that as you just happen to be walking by, you formed a true belief about the time. Now, most people want to say that in this twisted little scenario that you don't know what time it is. And the reason has to do with something called epistemic luck. Now, this is a special kind of luck that interferes with and can defeat knowledge, just like it did in the stopped clock case. So what ends up happening is, in order to give a satisfying and robust account of knowledge, you need a satisfying and robust account of epistemic luck. And this is a real problem for epistemologists. I'm not saying there aren't any good answers out there, and I think there are some really compelling answers. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. There are some really good answers out there, but it's really, really challenging to do. What I do in my research is I take this problem for epistemology, and some other ones, don't worry, and I use this to motivate this new focus in epistemology. And this focus is understanding. So I am worried about what is understanding. Now, I'm not talking about linguistic understanding, so understanding what someone means, or like understanding German. This is a really important topic, and I'll leave it to people like Joey, who are way smarter than me, to deal with that sort of stuff. I'm talking about understanding why the sky is blue, or understanding what a comet is made of, or how it got formed. That kind of thing. And you'll notice when we think about these kinds of questions, we're not just focused on one belief like we are with knowledge. Instead, we're focused on a network of beliefs. And when we go to assess whether an agent understands, we look at whether she can make the right kinds of connections between her beliefs. On my account of understanding, it has to do with whether she can use these connections to go out and acquire new true beliefs, or to use her understanding to learn new things about the world. But notice what we're not talking about anymore. We're not talking about epistemic luck. And there's a good reason for it. A lot of epistemologists think that understanding is compatible with epistemic luck. So the upshot is that giving a satisfying and robust account of understanding, which is what I'm trying to do, doesn't require a satisfying account of epistemic luck. Now, this isn't me just being shady or lazy, trying to avoid a really difficult question. I think there are really good reasons to make this shift in focus. I'll give you two. One is, I hope at least, intuitive. The other one's more theoretical. So here's the intuitive reason. So just think about when you inquire about something. And I don't mean when the next train is coming, or when your shift at work starts, right? I mean just inquiry for the sake of inquiry. Just going and learning about things. it seems like we would much rather understand the material than just know a bunch of stuff about it. So, on that note, it seems like understanding is a suitable goal for inquiry, or at least for a certain kind of inquiry, what we might call pure inquiry. Just inquiry for inquiry's sake. But here's a theoretical reason too, and it has to do with the value of understanding and the value of knowledge. So there is an intuition that knowledge is valuable for its own sake. And that just seems really gripping. But let's say I go over to this lectern here, and I methodically count every piece of dust that's on that lectern. And I'm really rigorous about this too. I really care how much dust is on there. And I come to know that there are 182 flakes of dust on that lectern. That just doesn't seem to be the kind of thing that's valuable for its own sake. Maybe I'm doing a study in dustology or something, and it's useful to that end. But for its own sake, no, not really. But remember, with understanding, it's all about making the connections between these beliefs and making the right sorts of connections. And when you do that, when you're successful, you demonstrate what's called a cognitive achievement. And cognitive achievements are a lot like regular achievements. Say an archer hits a target, hits the bullseye because of her skills as an archer. There's an achievement. And it seems like it's something that's valuable for its own sake. So in the same way, if I engage with my beliefs in the right way, and I do so successfully, I've demonstrated a cognitive achievement that has a special kind of value that knowledge just doesn't have access to. Now there's lots of other really cool reasons why we might want to make this shift and give understanding a lot more focus than it has received in the past. And I'm more than happy. I would love to talk with you guys about it. And of course, if there's anything on my talk that you didn't understand, feel free to come talk to me later. So thanks, and enjoy the rest of the think tank.